Hello and welcome. Today we will talk about diversity being the engine for success and competitiveness in any society. So, this last chapter in the book simply brings together a philosophical view of what diversity means in comparison to other philosophies that have existed the test of time over the past centuries, and how diversity can be used to advance human needs as one human race, as a species, perhaps. And this chapter 12 is simply an accumulation of everything that has been talked about in the previous chapters. And this chapter is followed by realistic cases and exercises that can be used in diversity training and diversity workshops. I also would like to thank all the contributors to this book for sharing their knowledge about diversity locally, nationally, and internationally. And I look forward to reading more contributions from them in the future. Being in the workplace, you would know that employee recruitment, hiring, people development, retaining employees, disciplining employees, terminating employees are all facts of life in both homogeneous as well as heterogeneous work environments. So these processes do not have to be mired in negativity due to biases and prejudices and stereotypes and animosity toward different groups if we use our diversity properly through understanding, through respect, and through inclusionary practices. So diversity can be sort of seen as the poster child of social progress and change. Diversity and inclusivity are having a long period of influence as the new social movement of the 21st century environment. So we know that diversity talks have become a large portion of our everyday language, whether that be in education environment or in general society, in social media and so on. So it's part of our everyday language, strategies, and actions in both the workplace as well as in regular societal settings. As a civilization, diversity as a philosophy and practice of tolerance and acceptance regarding various cultural, social, and physical issues has long been overdue, though, especially when we look back at our historical events and records to recognize where lack of diversity in socially open environments have led to wars that have been prolonged for many years, conflicts that have existed for decades, and sometimes longer, in hostility among people, among nations, among different groups within the same culture oftentimes. So diversity is a highly ideological and philosophical perspective underlying human understanding and is in fact a method of wide-scale conflict resolution, which often attempts to find a common ideal among people of varied social, cultural, racial, and ethnic, as well as economic, political, and religious origins and backgrounds in society to settle major differences between them. So as an ideology, diversity is often resisted and sometimes shunned as much as any other philosophical movement or view, and must live up to the change in opposition to yield its maximum benefits for the greater number as a greater good in society. There have been countless events and issues in history, some very brutal and some plainly ignorant, that have provided the rationale for diversity studies and programs, as well as its integration, education, and awareness among the workers in society or in general societal members. For example, slavery and racial segregation in the Western society have been of particular importance, as these two echoed the human plight far beyond their times and ending. So diversity in general refers to the variety of human traits and ideals, both physical as well as social, that characterizes us as human species. Diversity refers to both internal as well as external concepts of variety as far as perspectives, traits, and characteristics are concerned. So diversity is also an important element of democracy as well as liberalism. So everyone can be free to voice their opinions and thoughts in any society where they live or any workplace where they work. Like democracy, impartial thoughts and liberalism are vital to the existence and growth of diversity in a diverse nation, department, culture, and even team. So liberalism usually refers to the political tradition, ideology, and philosophy where liberty becomes or is seen as the natural political value in any social system, social institution, or even society. Liberalism offers an autonomy for tolerance and acceptance more extensive than any other socio-political view that has been in existence up until now. Liberalism can take four major forms that engender principles and concepts which are vital to the creation and progress of diversity, which include political liberalism, cultural liberalism, economic liberalism, and social liberalism. We'll talk about cultural liberalism, which is the right of individuals with regards to right and wrong, morality and conscience, in lifestyle surrounding issues of sexual freedom, religious freedom, mental freedom, and protection from government intervention into people's private lives. This is sort of like the concept of cultural relativism. So liberalism can be a very controversial theory of politics and philosophy, despite the obvious need for the diversity of perspectives which it engenders. Some liberals are often seen as too controversial, too extreme, and even chaotic by the conservative and even ultra-conservative groups in our society. But in general, liberalism means inclusionary practices as well as greater acceptance and integration of various minority groups in our departments, in our organizations, in our cities, as well as accepting and integrating their cultures, their values, and all of the social issues that surround them. So diversity strives most in liberal environments and among individuals with a liberal perspective. So to embrace diversity and have a disparate view is the new positivism of most developed nations. Of course, we've traveled far, even though true diversity appreciation is still lacking in many corners of the globe, perhaps in your city, in your organization, especially where issues of religion and culture are still producing rifts between diverse people groups in society. We need to keep in mind that diversity is not an imposition when we consider how varied we are in our beings and social makeups as individuals. We are inherently diverse as intended by nature. So embracing diversity might be a natural intent of evolutionary design or even creationism, depending on what you believe in. The rights of minorities and the degree to which this still exists can determine in full how diverse a society is, as well as how inclusive and competitive they might become in today's global environment. Remember that we cannot all think the same, look the same, behave the same, or have the same beliefs and values and attitudes, because that would be a very dull world indeed. Our future depends on how much we embrace diversity as societies in turmoil. By nature, we are diverse as a species, and the physical world in which we live holds true to the law of diversity every single day. The society of today and tomorrow will be vastly different in terms of its composition as well as outlook if we have not experienced any drastic changes or revolutions that reverse the course and diversity movement in programs. So as the Newton law of physics states, an object is likely to maintain its momentum in the direction it was going unless it's intervened by some outside force. So let us look at how we can retain a talented workforce through a diversity program. We're starting a program to attract, recruit, and retain the top talent in the organization. First of all, we need to define diversity, implement diversity training, value individuality, enforce equal opportunity concepts and laws, require behavior alignment in the workplace based on organizational values, support artistry and openness among all individuals and departments, involve and engage everyone synergistically toward common goals, transcend tolerance to a win-win paradigm, and yearn for peace and sensitivity at all times. As Maya Angelou mentioned, we all should know that diversity makes for a rich tapestry, and we must understand that all the threads of the tapestry are equal in value, no matter what their color. Coretta Scott King, who was a huge civil rights leader on her own rights, said that it doesn't matter how strong your opinions are. If you do not use your power for positive change, you are indeed part of the problem. Keep in mind that as an effective manager, leader, and an advocate of an inclusive workplace, Napoleon Hill said that it is literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others succeed. Let us aim to create an engaging and inclusive workplace by helping our colleagues respect each other, understand each other, and work with each other synergistically. According to the late Lee Iacocca, no matter what you've done for yourself or for humanity, if you can't look back on having given love and attention to your own family, what have you really accomplished? One of our goals should be to make a positive impact on individuals and people around us and thereby to society. This type of an impact can be seen from the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of thousands of individuals like Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and many others around the world. Too, can make a positive difference around those in your vicinity. As the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Dr. Stephen Covey mentioned several decades ago, we need to begin with the end in mind. In other words, determine what your identity and what your contributions to this society will be, and make these dreams and goals a part of your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. So you can always be consistent in what you think, what you feel, and how you behave every day. We should all keep in mind that diversity management is about managing the head, the heart, and the habits. In other words, our thinking, our feelings, and our behavior should all be in alignment. So head means cognitive learning, thinking objectively based on facts, awareness of universal principles, and knowledge generation. When it comes to the heart, it means controlling our feelings, basing it on objective facts, and aligning it with universal values, as well as organizational values in the companies where we work and serve. The habit means we need to ensure that our day-to-day behaviors are aligned with our universal principles of right and wrong, personal and professional values, and our general feelings towards issues in the workplace. Thomas Edison said that the three great essentials to achieve anything worthwhile are first, hard work, second, stick-to-itiveness, and third, common sense. The great motivational speaker Zig Ziglar said that success requires character, commitment, and discipline, because it was character that got us out of bed, commitment that moved us into action, and discipline that enabled us to follow through. Remember, there are two things that help us succeed in life. First, the way you manage when you have nothing. And second, the way you behave when you have everything. Story goes that how strange that the grass is all that remains standing after the storm, said a little boy. Sometimes being soft is strong, said the rabbit. You don't have to pick a fight with every person who makes derogatory or offensive or prejudiced statements. However, trying to help them realize that what they are saying is offensive can be helpful in terms of turning things around and managing conflicts as best as you can without escalating them through empathic listening skills, and perhaps by using the 4F model, where you focus on facts, feelings, future expectations, and perhaps follow through. Martial artist Bruce Lee once said that I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. As the Irish prayer goes, may you have the hindsight to appropriately diagnose problems of diversity and conflicts, the foresight to solve them effectively, and the insight to ask for help when appropriate. Remember that through equity and inclusionary practices, we can make diversity an advantage for ourselves, for our teams, and for our organizations. Ultimately, our society will be a better place through inclusionary practices that are equitable toward all individuals in our teams, in our cities, in our states, and our countries. I'd like to thank all of you for reading about workforce diversity management and for using this textbook. Good luck to you, and I look forward to reading your publications in the future.